Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan MacArthur, the JWCC Program Manager. For everybody who doesn't know what JWCC is, Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability. JWCC is a little contract we let in December to 4 cloud vendors, AWS, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle. I did that alphabetically to keep me out of trouble with my course. So we'll move over to the next slide. So what we'll do is we'll talk about what JWCC is and what it isn't. I'll start with what it isn't, so everybody's kind of tracking at large, because I get a lot of questions from everybody. So what it isn't a migration services contract. It does not move you to the cloud. I do not have integrators. I do not have CSPs that pick you up, move your services, engineer your solutions, and move you to the cloud. We don't allow that on the contract. They're allowed to advise, they're allowed to bring cloud service offerings, they're allowed to have solution sets, but they are not allowed to actually lift and shift your solution sets to the cloud. That's what integrators are for. It is a cloud contract. It is a contract vehicle that allows the DoD to purchase cloud services from these vendors at best-in-class service solutions at all classification levels, unclass, secret, and TS. It's a multi-award IDIQ. What that means is that all 4 of these vendors, they have to compete in order to win a task order. So every vendor is able to compete anytime somebody comes in with a process, unless there's an exception for that process. For the requirement to be on this contract, all these vendors had to be able to provide services in the unclass, secret, and TS space at the time of award. And then for secret at 60 days, they had to have a provisional authorization packet submitted, or a top secret packet submitted at 180 days. They had to have integrated cross-domain solutions across the board, both in unclass, secret, and TS. That was at a data management planes level and also at a customer support level. They had to have global availability. And then they also had to have advanced cybersecurity capabilities. A lot of those are inherent when you think about a hyperscale cloud service provider. Looking at our defining characteristics, my team calls this the high 9. Really what JWCC, what made it up was 268 lines of requirements. So when we assessed these CSPs, we looked at them and we assessed 268 lines of requirements when we were going through our evaluation process. These high 9, generally what I'll do is I go through and I pick a few ones that are important to the department at large. But global accessibility, one of the things that was important here is that all of these CSPs had to have global points of presence on every single continent, 2 on every single continent except for Antarctica. All of our vendors had that in spades. I think the lowest amount by one vendor was 150. Worldwide. I think the most was 250 plus worldwide. Ease of use, cloud commercial capabilities is, in general, ease of use is what they bring for their customer service, but they also had to integrate with capabilities that the DoD brings forward. Kane is going to talk about DApps and ADAT, the solutions that we require that these vendors integrate with our account tracking and automation tools, and also our acquisition package builder that we're bringing forward. Commercial parity was a high requirement for us to drive forward for the department. When you look at commercial parity, one of the biggest problems that we run into in the department is, from a commercial perspective, what we always look at is we have all these great solutions in the commercial space that the DoD is consistently getting to use. But you look at the classified space, you get smaller and smaller the higher you go up in the classification levels. So what we looked at from the DoD perspective is we wanted to drive commercial parity. We wanted to make sure that we have a mechanism with the CSPs to take unclassified capabilities and push them up into the classified space, both in the secret space and in the TS space. So these vendors, what we did is we made adjustments in the contract process to continually assess how we are making sure that they bring those capabilities, both from unclass into secret and into TS. Fortified security, elastic storage compute, advanced analytics, that's really what you get when you get a commercial cloud service capabilities. These hyperscalers, service providers, what we do when we evaluate with each one of these, we consistently are looking at them to make sure that they're continuing to meet the needs. The DoD is never going to make up more than 50% of their capabilities. We actually have to assess them every single month that we're not continually going to be more than 50% of their business, because then they actually aren't considered a hyperscale cloud service provider. So I actually get a report every single month that shows me that the DoD does not make up 50% of their commercial cloud. If that is the case, they technically aren't meeting my requirement. They can't be on the contract. Tactical Edge, we're going to have a slide that kind of talks about that. But Tactical Edge, all of these vendors had to have a Tactical Edge capability, not just Tactical Edge equipment, but Tactical Edge cloud service offerings. They had to have these not just in the unclass space, but also in the secret space, also in the TS space. What else? Defining characteristics, one of the issues that I kind of see from a contract space, everyone always looks at JWCC and they say, hey, it's just a contract vehicle. What you look at JWCC and what you see the difference is between JWCC and other contracts that are in the department is, yes, JWCC is a contract, but what you get with JWCC that you don't get with other contract vehicles is the program office. The direct relationship that my program office has with these CSPs, you don't have with any other contract in the department at all, period. What we've done today with our program office, with the IC, putting agreements in place to integrate between Title 10 and Title 50 for TS. We have joint use of TS infrastructure for the first time ever in federal government. We're finalizing our MOAs currently. The MOA's already been done. We're finalizing the appendices on details for the TS infrastructure. That'll be done later next month. And then for Secret itself, the DoD is going to be finalizing on all 4 vendors later this year. Tactical Edge. Most of the vendors, everybody kind of aware of where AWS and Microsoft sit, but everyone had to have Tactical Edge form factors. All of them have their different look about what they bring in from a Tactical Edge perspective. AWS has Snowball. Everyone's kind of aware of what AWS Outpost is. AWS Snowmobile, I think AWS has that here on site. It's their mobile data center. It's like a 40-foot by 25-foot Connex. It's huge. And then you have Snow Warrior, which is one of their newer cloud service offerings as well. Google, they partner with HPE. They have the GDCH Edge. It's the HPE 8100. And then I believe Google is also their modular data center. They're partnering with Equinix to build out their modular data center. Microsoft, everyone's very aware of what everything that Microsoft has brought to the table. Microsoft's Tactical Edge service offerings with Azure Stack has been around for quite a while. And then Oracle as well, what they're bringing to the table with Edge Ultra, their device, and also their Edge roving station. Those are all new service offerings. Again, this is not just about having Edge devices. It's also about having cloud service offerings that can also work on these devices, bringing Edge compute all the way out, and also bringing out solutions that bring Edge compute to bringing all the way out from a network perspective. If you look at AWS, you look at Microsoft, how they're looking at satellite capabilities, how they're looking at network capabilities, bringing the full gambit of capabilities and network prowess that these CSPs have that the DoD doesn't fully have readily available to us. JWCC brings the full gambit of that, not just cloud, not just the contract of cloud. It's a full gambit of capabilities. That's why when you hear Mr. Sherman, you hear General Skinner, or you hear some of the services, CIOs, talk about JWCC and JADC2, why you see the importance of JWCC and how it brings the full site picture of what the department is trying to talk about. So I'm going to hand it over to Kane. He's going to talk about ADAT, and then we'll go into DApps, and then we'll close out, and we'll hand it over to you guys for any kind of questions.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Kane Kreitzer. I'm the Customer Experience Lead within DISA's Hosting and Compute Center. As Ryan was describing all these great capabilities of JWCC, we try to also step back and take a better, a more holistic approach to understand how it is we can help customers accelerate their journey to the cloud. So we are working on creating a portfolio of different product offerings that can help our customers do just that. And the first one that, I'm actually going to skip forward one if you don't mind. Talk about DApps first. So DApps is the DISA acquisition preparation, package preparation system. And what this tool is built to do is essentially give you a step-by-step TurboTax wizard, if you will, that allows you to go through the entire acquisition process of preparing all the information that's required to submit to DITCO, who is the core for this contract vehicle. So this tool allows you to go through, input all of your requirements. You're inputting only your data elements at one time and one time only. And at the end of the entire process, it spits out all of the documentation that's required to submit to actually go and do the competition within the IDIQ with each of the CSPs. We're working on integration through the entire process, so there's no need for downloading documents, transmitting through email. Everything is all seamlessly submitted over to DITCO in a very efficient manner. We do have the MVP released of this, so it is available for users to start going in and doing their preparations. We are an agile office, so we're continuously rolling out enhancements, and we will be working on releasing our next release that offers a lot more of the integrations that we're working towards currently. With that, sorry.
So to add one thing to DAPS, it's important to understand that while this is a holistic solution for DITCO, right? So DITCO is the KO for the JWCC contract vehicle. DAPS itself, when you go through, it builds the package, it spits out a 100% acquisition package for DITCO. So if you contract with DITCO, you walk away with a package for DITCO. But if you don't want to contract with DITCO and you want to go to JWCC and you want to use your own contracting office, it gives you actually a 90% solution for your contracting office. So if the Army wants to contract with the Army, it's actually about a 90% package. So you take that back to the Army, you say, hey, here's the package that the DAPS office gave, and then you have to go back to the Army and say, hey, here's a couple things, because every service has a couple different ways that they do it. You know, us being the DoD, we can't standardize everything, the same way. But DAPS itself, what we tried to do was standardize it as best we could for the rest of the department. But holistically, what we try to do is work with the CSPs to ensure that DAPS put out a package that we try to give everybody the best value as a whole.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, the second enabler we have that we've been building out is the account tracking and automation tool. And so once you've gone through and you received your task order from either DITCO or your own contracting office, you go into ADAT and actually put in your task order number. We go and validate it against EDA to make sure that everything's valid and we have all the information we need. And it will go out to the CSPs that you have that are on the task order and create your first initial accounts with them. This tool is not meant to actually be where you do your workloads. We are the ones that are generating the accounts for you very quickly so you can begin doing your development work right away within those CSP portals. But another feature that we have within ADAT is reporting capabilities and alerting. One of the things that vendors currently don't usually offer is the ability to see your burn down against your CLINs, and that's what we're working to build in here. So you as a mission partner can go in and easily see where your spend is across each of those CLINs on that task order, make sure that you're not over or under burning, and really give you some greater insight into it. But of course, you still are able to go out to each of the CSPs and view even more enhanced reporting if you need to.
Okay. So to get in contact with the JWCC PMO, which ultimately what we'll do is it'll come back to our hybrid cloud broker office. As you can come to the Hack Community page, there's contact information. It goes to our hybrid cloud broker office. It'll come back to our office as well. We'll answer any questions there. But I also want to come out to the group. Is there any questions from the group that anybody has for myself or for Kane? You gotta speak up too, because I'm kind of deaf.
Hello?
Did you get it so far? All right. So Jerry Warwick, NAFAC. I'm the program manager for NAFAC Cloud and the NTA. I only offer the Microsoft Azure as a CSP at this present time. If I want to get a contract through you, you stated that all four vendors would quote on that. If other than Microsoft Azure wins, does that force me to then offer that other CSP?
Say that question again.
So,
Oh, okay. No. So again, with JWCC, yes, it does have a competition process, but there's also exemptions to an IDIQ. So the FAR has exemption process. So in JWCC, we have 2 exemptions that are in the ordering guide to the FAR. If you have an exemption, so let's just say I have an app for tracking tanks. So I'm the Army. I have a tank tracking app. It's built in AWS. and I don't want to move it out of AWS because I have petabytes of data and it works there, and it'll cost me billions of dollars to move it and all the engineering and all the things. I'm going to spend more money moving it than it would be for me to actually build it. It doesn't make any sense. That's what the exception process is for. You write it's called a JNA. DApps actually it's intuitive. DApps itself is intuitive. When you walk through the process, it has a JNA solution set that actually you would select. Then you'd say, hey, I'm going to do a JNA, and part of your acquisition package, you'd select that, and you'll walk through that process, and then at the end of it, you'd have your JNA package, and you'd submit that to your KO, and that'd be part of your task order award. No other questions? Got a whole crowd here. You got me for, oh, shut it down. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, get it while you can. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Carroll from GSA.
Yep.
And I just want to know if this would be a mandatory use for DoD.
Is it a mandatory use? No, so the DoD is not mandating JWCC. What I would say is if you look at the verbiage that Mr. Sherman has put out and DoD CIO and the service CIOs, we are, as a whole from DoD, partnering with all the services to ensure that we are doing best value across the board. The Army, the Air Force have all moved out in certain directions. JWCC isn't a fit-for-purpose cloud. The Sea Army environment is a fit-for-purpose cloud. Cloud One is a fit-for-purpose cloud. I've partnered with both of the cloud offices to see how we can support how they're moving out. They have mandates. The Army has a mandate for their solution. The Air Force has a mandate for their solution. I'm trying to figure out how I can help those cloud offices purchase off JWCC so I don't have to worry about the Army. I can just worry about their cloud office. For the Navy, they're actually redoing their cloud strategy because they've been very focused on flank speed. But their actual cloud strategy, they're revectoring with the Navy and the Marine Corps about what they're going to do moving forward. JWCC is part of that planning process. And then if you look at the COCOMs in the Fourth Estate, we're both the JWCC program office, General Skinner, DoD CIO, we're spending a lot of time working with them at large. But no, DoD CIO doesn't have an appetite to mandate anything. I don't think mandates serve the department at large. But I think JWCC at the end of the day provides best value. I will say from a classified perspective, JWCC brings more to the table than any other contract that the department has, just because of the fact of the partnerships that we've put in place with the IC. We're actually formalizing the processes that have to be put in place for the use of classified cloud. That hasn't been done yet by any of the other contract vehicles that the department has. It's just that we've kind of gotten away with not doing it for a period of time, but now that the fact that from an enterprise vehicle that we are doing it now, it's just those practices they have to be fixed. Yeah. Good question. Thanks, Ashley.
Hi, good morning. I'm
Yeah.
Sean McKee from Compact Fleet. Question about why it's the secret offerings seem to be the most challenging. So unclass and IC or top secret seem to go at a faster pace than the secret cloud offerings. Is there anything you can offer as to why that's usually the more challenging environment?
Should I talk about specifically with AWS? Okay, so with AWS, no. So Azure, I would disagree. AWS, I would tell you why. So AWS is it's because the cognizant authority for AWS is CIA, 100%. So and this is what DoD, this is what you guys, I'll give you a little bit behind the curtain. In Microsoft, the DoD is a cognizant authority. So we approve everything that goes through in Azure for IL6. So Roger Greenwell approves the PAs for Azure. So everything that goes through, it gets approved. DoD approves everything that goes through. We actually approve it, and then the IC takes reciprocity of what we've approved. AWS is the inverse. Everything that the IC approves, they have to approve it first, and then we take reciprocity, but we can't approve what they haven't approved. So we're dependent upon the IC to give approvals first. That's how it works. So we are currently in the discussions. This goes back to why I think that JWCC has best value for the department on the classified side. We are in discussions with the IC of how we get to joint use on secret and on TS from a cognizance perspective of what makes the most sense for the department as a whole. But that really comes back to how C2E and JWCC do business in the DoD, and, or I would say in federal government. And C2E is the IC's version of JWCC. But to answer your question, AWS is, I wouldn't say slower, it's just that the CIA puts an emphasis on TS because they deliver in TS first and then it trickles down to secret. Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Hi, Latanya Griffith, Command Naval Regional Maintenance Center. I just wanted to ask, I feel that most of the time when there's cloud offerings, we just don't know how other people are using it within the Navy. And so is there a site that you can, show all the different commands that's actually using it and how they're using it so that we kind of can get ideas of how we can be more effective?
Yeah, so that's a hard question to answer. Ultimately, from my perspective as a program office, that's a bigger problem set than me. It's not that I don't want to answer it, but that's a big DoD problem because you're talking really, you kind of get to the heart of what JADC2 is. It's bigger even than JADC2 because that's command and control systems. But really when you look at how the DoD is using cloud as a whole, how we get after governance, how we get after processes, the Navy, how they're getting after cloud, you have to get to a centralized place of what you're doing. I mean, we could start to look at what kind of task orders are getting let on the contract and provide that kind of input to the Navy and then see how they disperse it. Maybe it's a hard problem set that I'm sure we could figure out to maybe look at, but it's bigger. It's bigger than a contract vehicle. It's really about how the DoD looks at cloud as a whole, and the services they're not great at talking to one another. But it's like JADC2. So you look at JADC2, which is just the command and control systems, but it's bigger than that. It's really how cloud is used as a whole. But it's a great question. I apologize, I can't fully answer it. Anybody else? All right, hey guys, thanks for coming to the theater. Thanks for sitting for the brief.